Honorable Men Discord, History of Violence. Let's talk about it. All right, welcome back to another episode. Unfortunately, we have a serious situation that took place not too far from Dallas, Texas, in an area called Forest Hills at a car wash. Now, for those of you who are unaware of this murder that took place, let me just put this news report on to bring you up to speed. Let's take a look.
Now to the latest on the deadly shooting of a local rapper and his 5-year-old daughter. It happened at a car wash in Forest Hill. Keenan Willard has the update from the scene.
That's right, and you can see this investigation still ongoing at this car wash here in the Forest Hill area along I-20. And today, members of the family of the victim said they believe Smith was the intended target of this attack and that his little girl was caught in the crossfire. On the street along I-20 in Forest Hill, a mass of family and friends stood waiting anxiously, finally breaking down when their worst fears were confirmed.
He didn't bother nobody. He didn't target nobody. He was a family man.
Forest Hill police say around 10:45 this morning, a 30-year-old man and his 5-year-old daughter were parked at this car wash when they were shot by 2 suspects who left in a 4-door Kia. Police say both victims died at the scene, family identifying them as Ronnie Smith, a rapper who performed as G-Money Lil Ronnie, and his daughter, Romani. Loved ones say yesterday was the girl's 5th birthday.
Why would you target him? His name is Lil Ronnie. Why would you target him? He didn't bother nobody. And a baby, his baby.
So I have to pause it right there. As I was doing my research on this, apparently he has 2 children. So the young girl in the photo in my thumbnail may not be the one that lost her life along with him. All right, because the one in my thumbnail, she looks like she's fairly tall, so she may not be 5 years of age. But with that being said, at the end of the day, it's very, 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 very unfortunate that a 5-year-old lost her life. It's unfortunate that he lost his life as well. But here's what I have to say about that. Before I continue with this news report, I'm not sure who this elderly lady is to little Ronnie. But, you know, it's always in our passing that our family or friends have nothing but the great things to say about us, which is understandable because it would be very odd to talk down on someone who's no longer around to speak for themselves. But here's the thing, you know, as I was doing my research on little Ronnie, yes, he was a rap artist in that area. But from his videos, you could only assume that he was more than a rap artist. You know, we can play the game of he's an artist, you don't know what you're talking about. But if you look at his content, his videos, the imagery, the people that's in the videos, little Ronnie wasn't an angel. Now, by no means does that mean that taking someone's life is warranted, especially in that fashion. But little Ronnie wasn't an angel. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't even enjoy doing these type of episodes, but it's necessary because unfortunately it's prevalent within our community. All right. It's prevalent within our community. And, you know, we could try to figure out the root of all of this. You know, we can say it's money. We can say it's poverty, or I should say lack of money that looks alluring to the younger generation. You could say it's a lack of money. So they gravitate towards the streets. We can say it's the absence of fathers. We can say it's the influence of what we see on TV, social media, when, you know, a lot of these young guys, they see rap artists glamorizing a particular lifestyle, especially rap artists who are well past their prime, still glorifying the streets. So we can chalk it up to that. To be honest with you, I think it's a combination of all the things that I just mentioned. I mean, this is a very, very unfortunate situation. I do not like the fact that a 5-year-old was involved. I just feel like if you're gonna be married to the streets, as they would say, I feel like you're very selfish when you have children. All right. If you're choosing to be married to the streets, if you're choosing to be involved in gang activity or what have you, I think it's very selfish for you to have children. And that selfishness doesn't just end with the guys. That selfishness is extended also to the females that are laying down with these guys. You know, there's a bunch of females that just love the street guy, the guy that's in the streets. We know it. It's very attractive. The fast money, the expensive cars, the jewelry, and the ability to spend that money on these women. Aside from the fact that, you know, the mentality of a street person, or a person in the street, I should say, is, you know, by any means necessary, I do it my way. No one could tell me what to do. That's the bravado that is usually displayed by someone from the streets. And for those women that are attracted to those guys, by all means, you could be attracted to who you want to be attracted to. This episode is not about telling people who they should be attracted to, but this is what I'm going to say on this. And this is my personal take on all of this and how I feel these things should go. For the females that are attracted to guys that live a certain lifestyle, do not have babies with them. Do not have babies with them. Why? Because it's a selfish act. You know, more times than not, these individuals are not leaving the streets, right? And by you having a child with those type of individuals, you're almost guaranteeing that that person may not be in the child's life for whatever reason, whether they get locked up, whether they lose their life in the street. That type of lifestyle is not the type of lifestyle to raise a family in. That's not the lifestyle to raise a family in. You can disagree with me all you want, but I stand my ground on that, 10 toes down with what I just said. If you're a female who are into street guys, by all means, you could love and like who you want, but having a child by those type of individuals is unfair to the child. And the same goes to the guys that are in the street life. When you decide to have babies, maybe it was planned, maybe it wasn't planned, because obviously that's a whole nother subject. A lot of people just don't like using protection. So maybe that's how the children come to be. But if it was actually planned, it's extremely selfish. Extremely selfish, because most of the time these individuals are not staying with one female and they're having babies all over the place and they're staying in the street. Again, if you're choosing that lifestyle and you want to be married to the streets, you want to be married to your gang affiliation, by all means, do what you want. I don't agree with it. But once you bring children into the picture, these type of situations are very unfortunate, because take his lifestyle, put it to the side for a moment. He seems to have been a father that really loved his daughter, or daughters, I should say. But, you know, you can't mix the two. You can't mix family life and the street life. Unfortunately, once you commit to the street life, once you're married to the street life, once you're married to gang activity, there is no both worlds. You know, it's been tried before, time and time again, but the results end the same. Either that person gets locked up or that person loses their life behind their affiliation with the gang or the streets. Unfortunately, when you have children and you try to mix the two and you're riding around with your family, you're putting a target on your family's back. You know, in this case, the little girl, I don't believe it was intentional that she was shot, but she was shot nevertheless, and she lost her life, which is unfortunate at 5 years old. It's ridiculous that I would even have to report something like this. It's just make a decision. My advice to anyone watching this is, never mind the fact that you don't like what I'm saying about not having children. Just be responsible. If you're choosing that lifestyle, I absolutely, positively do not agree with that lifestyle. But if you're going to choose that lifestyle, choose it for yourself. Don't be selfish. Don't try to have a family and think you're going to be in the streets and have a family and have kids, because the only thing you're going to do is either get your family hurt or those children are going to grow up to be just like you because they're looking at you as you're like the model example of what it is to be out there in the world. And your example is really not the model of what there is to be out there in the world. Again, I do not like having to report this type of material. You know, rest in peace to him. Rest in peace to his daughter. Regardless of what activity he was involved in, it's a rest in peace for me because he was gone before his time. That was not a natural cause. That was a murder. All right. Anyone who leaves this earth before their natural time is unfortunate to me. All right. Let me just continue with this news report.
Baby, come on, Fort Worth. What y'all gonna do?
Police say they have identified one suspect who they're not naming and have issued a warrant for capital murder. Investigators.
All right. I didn't even mean to play it again, but come on, Fort Worth, what y'all gonna do? What exactly are you promoting? Because when you make a statement like that, you have to really elaborate because the wrong people are going to hear that and it's just going to perpetuate what has already been done. It's just going to be more murder in Fort Worth. But let's continue.
On BC5, Forest Hill didn't have a single murder all of last year. After today's incident, they're up to 5 homicides in 2025. As the family mourns the victims of this attack, neighbors say the recent rise in gun violence has them on edge.
You just got to be careful, man. Watch your step. It's crazy out here, man. You know, you got to be careful, man. Don't tell them where you go. You're not safe nowhere, but, you know, you just got to pick your spots. You know what I'm saying?
And today, the owners of the car wash tell me that they are shocked by this senseless incident. They are going to stay closed for at least 2 days while this investigation continues here in Forest Hill. Keenan Willard.
All right, I'm going to stop that news report right there. That gentleman saying you just got to pick your spots. Listen, there is no spot to pick. The streets have run amok. Yeah, the streets have run amok. There is no spot. Unfortunately, when these young men choose this lifestyle, they put us all in the crossfire. All in the crossfire. There is no picking a spot. All right. It's to the point where, and first of all, let me just say one thing about the street life. And I don't have to be in the streets to know this. All right. I'm just going to go off of common sense here. Right. When you choose a certain lifestyle and you know you have enemies, there is no staying idle in one spot for too long. That's an absolute no-no. All right. Yeah, no, I didn't read a book to know that. And I didn't have to be affiliated with people to know that. All right. I personally don't like to be in one spot for a long period of time, depending on the neighborhood. All right. And I'm not involved in any type of gang activity or illegal activity. I do not like being in one particular spot for a long time if it's an unfavorable neighborhood. First of all, I don't go to unfavorable neighborhoods in the first place. But if for whatever reason I should be in an unfavorable neighborhood, I like to be in and out as fast as possible. Because I know what can happen in certain neighborhoods where there's jealousy and potentially people looking at you, staring at you. You know, if you're there too long, you're giving people time to plot on you. All right. A car wash, not a good idea. Only he knows the lifestyle he was living. All right. Only little Ronnie knew what type of lifestyle he was living. And when you had your 5-year-old daughter with you, maybe a car wash was not the smartest thing to do. And, you know, as I was going through this stuff, it seems as though, and I can't confirm this, it seems as though he was gambling prior to going to the car wash. I can't completely confirm that. But one thing is for sure is he did enjoy gambling. So this clip I have up to my side, he's actually speaking on gambling in the dark web. And he proclaimed that he was one of the best gamblers in that part of Texas. All right. So he really enjoyed gambling. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is if what's being said out there in social media is true about him gambling prior to going to the car wash, another bad decision. You have your little one with you. And if you gamble and then you have your little one with you, people who lose gambling matches may feel some type of way and might want their money back. Or depending on, you know, how they lost, if you're gloating because you won, just keep in mind it's very selfish that you know, that you would do something like that with your 5-year-old, if that's what took place. I'm not saying that's what took place, but as I was doing a little research, that came up that he was potentially gambling before he went to the car wash. Now, regardless of the fact, the end result is what we're here to talk about, and it's unfortunate, but this is Little Ronnie speaking on gambling.
The gamble stats, the dark web. Yes, all of that is real. You actually can go and check the stats. You don't want no random straggler ass nigga that's walking in the room, ain't never shot the dice in his life, and be talking that shit over the hype because he's seen on the Instagram. Like, no, we're not just gonna gamble anybody.
So you actually go do your research?
Yes, I do my research. You know, it's it is some dudes that is doing their thing, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the little people that's getting their gamble on in certain areas, but I have been all over Texas and met a couple people, and I have never met a twin. Literally. Shout out to the cities that do have a couple people, man. I like Bo Money, man, you know what I'm saying? I had to humble my boy Lil Pig. Shout out to Tyler, Texas, too, my boy T. Jones. Shout out to Houston when I was out in 281 Studios. Shout out to Galveston when I had to go over there and break a couple people over there. When I had to go by what you call it, Abby's and all that gas, whatever it is, tanks, where else? Well, like, it's a couple places when I was in Longview on Marbley. Like, I'm actually best gambler.
So, as you can see from that clip, he really enjoyed bragging about how well he gambled. So much so to the point where he started naming different areas where he gambled and he was winning, you know. You're going to know, you have to know. Obviously, either he knew or he didn't care. But when you start to brag about the fact that you're nice at gambling, first of all, that would mean that you always have a lot of money on you. That's one. Two, when you start bragging about the different areas that you conquered in gambling, it's going to rub people the wrong way. All right? It's going to rub people the wrong way. And here's the thing. Once you commit to the street life, honestly, it doesn't really matter whether or not he spoke on the fact that he was good at gambling or not. Once you commit to the street life, you sign up for the worst case scenarios at any given moment of your life. You're signing up for worst case scenarios. Worst case scenarios meaning that you could potentially have your life on the line at any given moment. That's what you're signing up for when you sign up for the streets. If anyone tells you different, they're telling you a lie. Signing up for the streets is like signing up for the military during a time of war. They can tell you you're not going to go to war, but there's no guarantee that you won't go. All right. And I didn't mean to make a military comparison. I'm not trying to talk down to the servicemen and women out there. We appreciate your service. I'm just trying to make the point that when you sign up for a certain lifestyle, there's a high risk involved. Okay. When you sign up for the streets, there's a high risk involved. And again, if that's what you choose to do, if for whatever reason that's your culture, the neighborhood you came from, maybe your family members, your father, your uncle, that was the lifestyle they lived, by all means, you're going to do what you want to do anyway. I don't condone it, but just consider, don't have children. Don't be selfish, because you never hear of someone in the streets putting money aside for their children's future. That's not something that you ever hear them talk about. There's no IRA or trust fund, or, when you're in the streets, and you're living day by day. You can have a plan in the streets, but that usually doesn't play out the way you had in mind. But here's Little Ronnie speaking on why he never considered leaving that area. And I'm going to speak on my thoughts of what he says in this.
We got the recent loss of XXX, you know what I'm saying? And most of the time, like, niggas down in their own city and shit. Like, what keeps you here for work, bro? Why you ain't decided to move out the city limits shit? You know what I'm saying?
Shit, for what?
Like, you know how niggas hate on rappers and shit like that.
That's
they
true.
bring you that extra attention. Like,
that's true, and it goes on, so shit, but, sometimes you really don't want to move at the moment because you might have ties or strings to certain shit that you still got going on here. I still got business that I might got going on here, like you was just asking about, but I ain't like I say, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if that motherfucker ain't kicking and hitting and spending or paying you how it's supposed to be at the moment, shit, you can't go jump and move, you feel me? Yeah. That motherfucker ain't financial or beneficial at the moment. Now, you might say a nigga might sound good or might keep finna blow up. But if I ain't paying to buy me no house right now, ain't no reason to jump.
All right. I want to say something about what he just said. So what Little Ronnie said is correct. I agree with that as far as when it comes to moving. No one's going to feel the need to move if there isn't something lined up in that other destination. And when I mean something lined up, I mean a job, a career. I mean, there's no perfect answer to that. But what I'll say in response to what Little Ronnie had to say, in his case, it's different, a little bit different, because he's talking about staying because it's lucrative for him to stay where he's staying. But to me, that only applies when you're talking about if you're living an honest living, if you're making an honest living. If you're making an honest living, whether or not you move would depend on, again, if there's an opportunity just as good as where you live in another place. So I understand what he's trying to say. But in his situation, if you know you live in the street life and you have enemies, moving is always an option. All right. I mean, was he making money? Was he not making money? Was it glamorized in videos, but he really didn't have that kind of money? Once you decide to have a family, I go right back to the beginning. Once you live in the street life and you decide to have a family, which I completely disagree with, but once you decide to make babies, it is now your obligation to make decisions based on the family. So if you're in the streets and only you know the amount of enemies you have, right? And if you don't know, that's a different story. I'd like to believe that many people in the streets are aware of those that don't like them or those that potentially may not like them. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt of knowing that. If they don't know that, then you're definitely in the wrong career path. All right. But I disagree with what Little Ronnie had to say in regard to moving, because now at the time of the interview, I don't know whether or not he had his daughter as yet. So if he was speaking from the standpoint as of a single man, then fine. If he wants to stay, he wants to stay. But if he had a daughter when he did that, when that clip came out, if he had the daughter by then he should have considered leaving. But unfortunately, the truth of the matter is he could have left one area to another area. If he was still living that street life, he would have developed enemies in that new area that he lived. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because again, the street life, you know, there's an expiration date on it. Some people will say there isn't, but only a few make it out and transition into other fields because they had a plan, they saved money, they made investments, and you know, they planned to get out. But many times those involved don't get out, whether by choice or not having a choice to get out. Some people find themselves stuck and they don't know how to get out because they feel obligated to stay real for the streets and the people that are in it and the family that they developed within the streets. So it's a very unfortunate thing. The last thing I'm going to play that I have queued up, and I have to brace everyone for this. This is actually the surveillance video of what took place at the car wash. Now, if you have a weak stomach for seeing something like this, then by all means, this is the time to click off of the video because it is difficult to watch. All right. So again, I'm about to show the surveillance video. And if it's something that you feel like you can't stomach, by all means, take this video off at this time. So let me get into it.
So
Yeah, that video footage, I gotta give credit to CD Nash. I got that video clip from his channel. Yeah, very unfortunate situation, very tough to watch. One thing that could be said, and this is just in my opinion from the surveillance video, he loved his daughter, as he should. As a father, you should love all your children, but he loved his daughter. He had an opportunity to run. I don't know. I would have to see the full landscape of the car wash, but he could have ran completely away from the scene. But he stayed close because I think he had intentions of going back to check on his daughter. He underestimated the two shooters because I feel like he felt like they had left the area, but they were determined to finish the job. Because once he thought they were gone, you could see him moving up the screen. They came back, they shot him, and then his adrenaline, I'm sure, carried him back towards the parking area of the car wash where he collapsed, and that's where he remained when the law enforcement came in. It's a very unfortunate situation. And again, the solution, the quick solution is just don't get involved in the streets. I know it's easy for me to say that on camera because I'm not living the lives these young men are living. I'm not in the conditions they're living in. I don't know what their situation was like how they were raised. I don't know the level of poverty that they're under. So I know, to say just don't get into the gangs, don't get into the streets is easier said than done. But I still have to say it as an older statesman. I have to say it because then what's the other option? Getting gunned down with your 5-year-old. What's the other option? It's got to be a better way, and there's just got to be a better way, But if there isn't a better way, if this is the lifestyle, if this is a glimpse of our future, of the young men's future, then by all means, at least. And this is speaking to the young men that are in the streets. Just don't have children. Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. If that's what you want to sign up to do, then live your life. But don't have children. If the words that I'm saying is not resonating because, you don't know nothing about the streets. You don't know anything about the streets. You didn't come from where we came from. Fine. Just don't have children. That's my take on that, because there's no reason why you put yourself in a situation where either you lose your life or your children lose their lives or the children's mother lose their lives. That's the complete definition of selfish, in my opinion. But again, rest in peace to both of them, the 5-year-old and little Ronnie. And I don't know what else to say. It's not a good feeling to have to report this type of news, but unfortunately, again, this is prevalent in our community and it doesn't seem to stop. And as long as the older generation, my age and above, continue to perpetuate it, continue to glorify it by not speaking down on it, it's going to continue. So we're actually failing the younger generation by not speaking against it. But as always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.